The voice was soft, trembling, but filled with a kind of innocent hope that made anyone stop and turn. And that's exactly what happened. The entire Café copyright went quiet for a second as the single Dadsha, known by the world as a ruthless businessman but known by no one for the heart he secretly carried, stood frozen near the entrance. He had only walked in looking for a quiet corner, a few minutes away from his overwhelming life. His daughter was at school, his company was in crisis, and his heart a broken but tired. But that single sentence pulled him into a moment he didn't expect, a moment that would end up changing both his life and the life of the little girl who had spoken it. She sat near the window in a wheelchair, her tiny hands resting on the armrests, her dark hair tied in two shaky braids. A warm smile tried so hard to stay on her face as she looked up at him. There was a book, 2 muffins, and an empty chair beside her. Everyone stared. But she wasn't talking to them. She was talking to him. He walked closer, unsure, confused, moved yet guarded. "Me?" he finally asked, because near broken bar no one had ever saved a seat for him before. Not in years. Not since his wife died. The girl nodded eagerly. "Yes, you looked lonely." Lonely. The word hit him harder than any business failure ever had. People saw a billionaire CEO with success, cars, power. Not someone who ate alone every night. Not someone who had forgotten what being cared for felt like. He slowly sat down. "Why did you save a seat for a stranger?" She shrugged. "You didn't feel like a stranger. I just knew you'd need it." And with that simple sentence, something in him cracked quietly, invisibly. He told himself he'd sit for just 5 minutes. But 5 turned into 10, a broken bar, then 20. Somehow the girl made him forget the time, the pressure, the world. She talked about the weather, about how she liked watching people through the Café copyright window, how every day she imagined stories for each person who walked by. But she avoided one topic herself. Eventually, he gently asked, "Why the wheelchair?" She looked down. Her hands fidgeted. "My legs are broken, bar, they don't listen to me anymore." That was all she said. He didn't push. Pain recognized pain. He simply stayed. The Café copyright owner walked over and whispered quietly, "Her name is Maryam. She comes here every day for 2 hours. Says she likes waiting here. Broken bar says someone always needs a friend." He looked at the empty seat again. The extra muffin, the hope in her eyes. This wasn't a random incident. This little girl had been saving a place for someone like him for a long time. Days passed. The showrunner began visiting the Café copyright regularly. At first just to return kindness, a broken bar, but eventually, because he needed her presence more than he had ever admitted to anyone. They laughed. They shared stories. She'd draw pictures for his daughter, and he'd bring her small gifts, and nothing expensive, just things that made her smile. But one day, he came to the Café copyright and found the seat empty. No wheelchair. No little girl. No smile waiting for him. He felt panic. Real panic. For the first time in years. It scared him how deeply he cared. He asked the Café copyright owner. The owner hesitated. A broken bar, then sighed. "She didn't want you to worry, a broken bar, but she's at the hospital. Her condition got worse." The CEO didn't even think. He drove straight there. He entered her room to find her trying to sit up, still with that brave smile. "You came, a broken bar." He swallowed the ache in his throat. "Of course I came. You saved a seat for me. I'm not leaving yours empty." She laughed weakly. "You always say things like a movie hero." He sat beside her bed. "And you speak like someone stronger than half the world." Her illness, he learned, was complicated. She needed surgery, a one that her family couldn't afford. And she never asked for help, never told him, never wanted to be a burden. But he had already lost one woman he loved to something medical he couldn't control. He refused to lose another innocent life he cared about. Without telling her, he arranged everything, paid for her treatment, found the best doctor, stayed with her through the nights, read to her, brought his daughter to meet her, and slowly, a broken bar, beautifully, a broken bar, painfully, a broken bar, the girl began to heal. Months later, the Café copyright window once again held the same wheelchair, the same 2 muffins, and the same seat saved just for him. But this time, He wasn't a lonely man. He wasn't a wandering soul. He wasn't broken in silence. And she wasn't a girl who watched the world alone. She had him. She had a family now, his daughter, who adored her, his home, which she visited often, his warmth, which she had unknowingly restored in him the first day she said those 7 powerful words. I saved this seat for you, a broken bar. The sentence that began everything. The sentence that healed a heart. The sentence that taught them both that sometimes, life doesn't change with grand miracles, a broken bar. It changes with one small act of kindness. And as their story found its way across hearts, just like your viewers now, there was one message everyone carried away.